Shomai. Hello everyone and welcome to Cefn Cribwr. My name is David Griffiths. The year is 1937 and I will be retiring soon. But today I'm going to tell you about my life as signalman at Cefn Junction signal box. I was born in Cynwyl Carmarthenshire in 1872 during the reign of Queen Victoria. I was quite a scholar and passed the 7th grade at Abernant National School in 1887. You can see my certificate here on the right. Well, I became a teacher, but my pay was very poor, and I wanted to marry Anne, you see. In 1895 I started work as a railwayman, working for the GWR, the Great Western Railway Company, and moved to Cefn Cribwr to 15 Bedford Road, where I lodged for 5 years. In 1901, when we had saved enough money, I married Anne Phillips, and I started work as signalman at Cefn Junction signal box. We moved to our new home, the Gates, Brickworks Crossing Cottage, and Anne became the gatekeeper. There was a lot of Welsh in Cefn then, and we were able to carry on much of our lives in our own language. This part of Cefn was very busy. Across the road was Cefn Brickworks working full force. Around the corner, opposite the signal box, was Cefn Slip Colliery, where over 500 men were employed. To the north you could see Cefn's second ironworks. Anyway, I should like you to meet my wife, Anne Griffiths, the mother of my children and the gatekeeper at the gates.
Well, hello, sut ydych chi? I am Anne Griffiths, the crossing keeper. When I was a girl, I was trained as a seamstress in Carmarthenshire. I would travel from farm to farm, making clothes to order, dresses, blouses, shirts and suits for the farmer and his wife. Oh, life was hard then, and my poor fingers ached from holding the needle. I stayed at the farm until my work was done, and I had free board and lodge. Anyway, in 1901 I married Davy, and I became the gatekeeper at Brickworks Crossing, the Gates. The house was modern and warm, with our own range for cooking. We never run short of coal, for Davy brings a bag from work. I make my own bread, and never buy it, as some people do. The children always help me by feeding the fowls and the pig, and by fetching water from the bailey. We have lovely oil lamps to give us light and plenty of candles to take up to bed. In 1920, there was an outbreak of cholera on Cefn, and several children died. So our well was filled in, and a hand water pump was put in the back kitchen. There's posh for you. Every Monday I did the washing, whatever the weather. I'd soak the sheets overnight and spend all day washing, drying and ironing. The dolly, soap and scrubbing board served me well. I didn't have a hand-turned washing machine until 1930. Davy still grows most of our vegetables, but when I need groceries, I walk down the Wine to Kenfig Hill to Nicholas's shop in Evan Street. I have a cuppa with Gwen Davis in Old Station Road, and sometimes scrounge a lift with a passing train. I am responsible for opening and closing the gates crossing Bedford Road to allow trains to pass by. I listen for a bell in the back kitchen, a warning that an engine is approaching, and stop the horses and carts by closing our heavy gates. There are many lorries and cars on the road now, but it was years before I saw one. I always take pride in my work and have never been late to open the gates, not like some keepers not very far from here whose gates have been demolished by trains. I'm sure the company, the Great Western Railway, appreciates my work. Well, I have worked for them for 36 years.
Diolch yn fawr, Ann. I know that you have to go to open the gates for the 5:15 from Tondi to Pyle now. Well, one fine summer's day in 1910, a photographer visited the gates. Queen Victoria had been dead for 9 years, and as you can see, there had been quite a few changes. This is my family. I'm holding little May. Next to us is young Elfed, who is a railway plate layer now. Annie is on my wife's knee, and on the right of the picture is Tommy, who became a signalman like me. You never know. There might be a time when the whole family is employed by the Great Western Railway, or God's wonderful railway, as it is known. You've seen where I live, and you've met my family. Now join me on a walk past the gates, alongside the railway track, to my place of work, Cefn Junction signal box. Before we go, I must fill my jack with water. There's no water at the box. Usually the early train brings water in a milk churn from Pyle Station, but sometimes we run a bit short. We haven't got any of those new-fangled electric lights either. Our paraffin tilly lamps still serve us well. If you look outside the box, you can see the concrete post and pulleys where I raise the lamp at night. Here we are then, Cefn Junction, built in 1898. A junction, by the way, is a place where two tracks meet. Up the steps we go, and here we are. In front of the window is a long row of levers, which I pull to change the points so the trains can travel either to Pyle and Porthcawl or to Talbot docks. At the turn of the century, there were sidings everywhere. Other levers I pull work the signals which warn the drivers. Red signals in a horizontal position tell drivers that they must stop. Yellow signals warn drivers that a stop signal is ahead. We've never had any accidents at Cefn Junction. The line running past Cefn Junction is a single one, so engines coming from different directions cannot pass each other. To make sure that trains do not crash on the single line, the driver has to collect a staff or token from Cefn Junction, which he leaves at the next box, ready for the train coming from the other direction. When we first moved to Cefn, the line past the box was very busy with passenger and coal trains to Porthcawl. In 1906, the Porthcawl docks closed, and all the coal now goes to Talbot docks. Life was busy for me at Cefn Junction. Look at the photo below. Can you see me looking out of the window? Right opposite the box was Cefn Slip Colliery. I can still hear the noise and taste the dust when they tipped coal from the drams into the wagons. Black dust everywhere. The box was so busy then, with a driver and fireman or a Cefn rider popping in for a cup of tea and chat. The kettle never stopped boiling. We had an open fire then, and although the company never gave us quite enough coal, we always acquired some from Cefn Slip or from a passing engine. We signalmen always keep ourselves busy. I can remember Edward Mills, who worked at Force Bank Box, growing all sorts of vegetables and flowers there. Then there was Mark Hoskins, who worked the other shift with me. He would cut hair like me, but he couldn't give a shave like me with my good old cutthroat razor. If I ever run out of hot water, so important for shaving, I get it from the engine. Always hot water with steam trains. I have really enjoyed my years at Cefn Junction. It's been a happy place to work in. I can only remember one sad event here. Now, what was his name? Oh, yes, Walter Curl. He was a clever man. Loved playing cards, especially crib. He would improve his memory by learning the numbers on the sides of the wagons and repeat them to me over a cuppa. Well, one day Walter was working on the lever frame downstairs when he slipped off his ladder, fell a few centimetres, banged his head on the fire guard and broke his neck. Dead. Now, I don't believe in ghosts, but I've had a fright once or twice when in the middle of the night the wind howls and the windows rattle as if someone is trying to get in. But signalmen in other boxes give new Cefn Junction signalmen a hard time. Every time a signalman is on duty for the first time on night shift, they phone him from their boxes and try to frighten him with tales of Walter Curl's spirit haunting the box. Don't you worry, there's no such thing as a ghost. I don't think. And what of the trains passing the signal box? Well, they are not very big because the line from Tondi to Pyle twists and turns. They were pannier class engines, not like the big Castle class express trains. Sometimes the weight of the long train from Tondi means that an extra engine is added, one pulling and one pushing. This is called a banker. They stop at Cefn Junction to uncouple the pushing train, and the driver and fireman often has a cuppa while waiting for permission to return to Tondi. Each coal company paints its name on the side of the wagon, and one of my jobs is to record these names and send the lists to Tondi using the telegraphic code. This is done to make sure that the wagons do not disappear, as they sometimes do. I'll never know how you can lose a wagon. This is one of my GWR telegraphic dispatches. Before I go, and I really will be going soon because I retire tomorrow, June the 28th, 1937. The signal box is 39 years old and I've worked here for 36 of those. But I would like to tell you something of the area before the steam railway was built. In 1825 a horse-drawn tram road was built from my stake, carrying coal and iron to the new docks in Porthcawl. If you keep your eyes open, you might see some stone tramroad sleepers that held the rails in place. A hole was drilled by hand into the stone and a wooden peg placed in it. Then a spike or nail held the rail in place. Some stones have 2 or even 3 holes. 3 horses pulled the trams, and it took 6 hours to travel down to Porthcawl. It was a single track with passing places. The hauliers, train leader, employed sprag boys who stuck a piece of wood, the sprag, into the wheel to act as a brake. When 2 trains met at a passing place, the sprag boys would fight and the winner led his train through first. Not a good way to treat young boys. I'm sure they didn't go to chapel. Well, farewell. Amser I chi fynd. Oops, sorry. English, of course. Time for you and me to go. Thank you for visiting us and showing an interest in this lovely little building of mine. And yours, of course. Cefn Junction Signal Box.